Hey there, door kickers. Welcome back to Dungeon Crawlers Anonymous. My name is Ron, and today we are going to be continuing our very exciting playthrough of The Hunters AD 2114. I'm very excited to continue kind of exploring this post-impact world and seeing what we can do about Red Jack, who is currently our best lead in terms of figuring out just what's going on with that cult of the Frozen God. But before we get started, I do have just a couple things I want to go over. So one thing that got pointed out to me was that I actually moved the day marker for the C marker on our baseboard. It looks like I accidentally moved that to the 4 space instead of the 5 space. Luckily, we have already moved to the 5 space anyway, and I haven't interacted with that, which is the sermon that's happening up in El Infierno. But I do apologize about that. It looks like it got moved in between my recording sessions there. So luckily, no harm, no foul, but I apologize for making that mistake. The other mistake I made was these cards with these symbols up in the corner here. I mentioned that these are the days that these cards are available, day 5 to day 25, which actually isn't quite correct. The creator of the game, Matus, popped into my comments, thank you so much, Matus, and let me know that what this is actually showing you is the date range that you should try to accomplish this card while playing the game. He says that if you get to this day, this last day on this card here, and you haven't done this card yet, then you're not likely to be on track to actually finishing the campaign in time, and might as well reset or should think about hurrying up if nothing else. So I think what these are is really just a reminder to you to make sure that these are things that you should be focusing on. They're kind of going to be indicating that, yeah, these are things that you got to deal with in order to continue the story of the game, and not so much just when they expire, but more legitimately telling you, hey, you're on track, or you might be running a little behind. So that's something to keep in mind when you're playing the game, is that these are helping you understand where you are in terms of the overall story and making sure that you're not getting too far behind. At the end of the last video, I asked you guys to comment on what you'd like to do in terms of Red Jack. The two choices being either we could wait for Red Jack, which would add a token 5 days from now, and we'd be able to kind of continue exploring or maybe do a side quest. And the other option is actually to head to the dam and go find Red Jack ahead of time instead of waiting for him to come to us. Now, unfortunately, our votes were tied on this in terms of what we're going to do, but the creator of the game, again, Matus, thank you so much for commenting. He voted for the dam, and I'm going to give his vote just one extra value, so we're going to go ahead and go to the dam instead of waiting for Red Jack. So in order to do that, we need to choose option B here, which is you travel to the dam to look for Red Jack, set up location 421, and under it, face down, event card 16. Okay, so I've gone ahead and set up the dam here. It is a danger level 2 zone, so it'll be a little more interesting to travel out there. And I've gone ahead and put 16 A, B, and C face down underneath that card, so that once we get there, we can encounter that and figure out just what's going on with Red Jack. But before we do any of that, I do want to make one other announcement, which is really cool. I'm very excited about this. The designer of the game recently posted a Kickstarter update for this game, letting all of us know that there is going to be an expansion Kickstarter happening on the 27th of April. So as of the recording of this video, that's in about a week and a half. And not only will there be a both small, similar to the new Huntsville expansion, and large expansion that adds a whole new story and some new equipment and some other stuff, but actually there's going to be an opportunity to get the base game in a reprint as well. So if you're enjoying the video series and you would love to play the Hunters or are having a hard time finding a copy of the game, which wouldn't surprise me, there's no retail release or anything like that, there is going to be an opportunity to pick this up through Kickstarter starting on April 27th. I'm really excited. I'm definitely going to back the small and large expansion in that Kickstarter campaign. And I hope that I hope this game gets a little more traction in that chaos, because it definitely deserves it. It's really fun, super interesting story, fun combat, and I hope that it's a really great, successful campaign for the designer. Anyway, with that set aside, let's go ahead and move our token out to the dam and see what kind of encounter we have on the way. Okay, so in the rule book, it says that when you're moving between sites, that you draw a city event card, and when you're moving from a site to a location, you draw a city event card. But if you're moving from one location to another location, instead you draw one of these road event cards based on the zone of the location that you are moving to. In which case, if we follow those rules to the letter, what we'd actually be doing is drawing a city event card on our way out to the dam, because we're moving from a site card to a location card. So as always, similar to city event cards, road event cards, you roll a defense die, and depending on the result, you draw a card. Now, we rolled no shields, so we do not draw a card in this case. If we rolled one of these shields, we would move this covering card away, and we draw the top card and have that encounter. But luckily, we've had a safe journey, so let's check out what's going on at the dam. Okay, so having made that roll, we have traveled to the dam, and the other thing we needed to do is move the day marker up 1. So now we are on day 6. And in addition, each character needs to spend 1 food in order to, well, eat. So we've got enough food to do that. However, my planning is not perfect. I have 1 food left on the recon and no food on the soldier, so we may end up taking a little damage on our way home. Hopefully it's not too big of a deal. But with all the travel aspects out of the way, it's time to go ahead and interact with this area. Now, there's nothing else we can do. There's no shopping or anything that can be done here. And all we have is the 16. So let's go ahead and encounter this card and see what it is. Red Jack. You easily find Red Jack close to the dam, where the caravan has made a camp. The whole dam has been turned into a settlement over the last few years. The group inhabiting the place has made a huge effort to hew tens of new holes near the base of the dam. The locals have also built makeshift scaffolding, ladders, and stairs. Concrete dwellings provide shelter from the elements and protect against any intruders. All you'd have to do is cut the ropes keeping the scaffolding and ladders together, and you can wait out any attackers, hoping that help will come soon. The dam itself is explored from time to time in order to scavenge some treasures from before the impact, in order to adapt parts of the complex to the locals' needs. Who sends you? Old brat. Never heard of the man. It seems Jack can't hear you very well. He leans closely with his right ear right in front of your mouths. You repeat slowly and clearly. Oh, old Grant. Well, that's a different kettle of fish. I've known Grant since childhood. How is he doing? Are you his kids, maybe? You even look like that old fart. You explain to the man why you bothered him and that you are not Grant's children. Jack tells you a story of his exploits and problems for a long while. Talking about frozen ones, normally our caravans only reach a certain place 40 or 50 miles from the town border. We meet frozen ones at the appointed place and pass the haul to them. We don't know where they take it from there. I have no idea where or how they use it, but I do know something that might be useful to you. Red Jack lowers his voice at this point, looks around nervously, and starts to whisper. The last time I led the caravan north, 2 priests took over the transport from us. One of them looked like a novice, his first time doing such chores. The older one took his time explaining something to the novice. He even drew a sketch in the sand. I overheard a piece of the conversation. There you'll see 3 towering monk heads. Walk between the second and third one, and the gate will proudly stand ahead. I don't understand a word of it, but maybe you will? You note this information, just in case. Maybe it's a good idea to join our company and see for yourselves what it's like to meet the frozen ones. I might introduce you to my boss, Mr. Noting, and maybe together we will persuade him to enlist extra guards for the next caravan. If you're interested, I'll see you in 5 days at dawn. All right, and we're supposed to put under location 420, we're going to put event card 50 face down with the C marker, and then the C marker will be on the day track 5 days from now. And then we shuffle 1 of 3 event 70s and discard the other 2. Then we gain card 93 and story marker 1. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put event card 50 under location card 420, which was the parking lot. So back where we went to originally find Red Jack. And I've placed the C token on there, as well as the C token on day 11 of our day tracker. In addition, we gained this card here, which includes that hint about moving towards 3 towering monk heads and walking between the second and third one, as well as story event marker 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on our base, and then the only thing we need to do is shuffle up. There's 3 copies of 70. We need to shuffle these and then pick one of them. And it just says shuffle and discard the remaining, so I'm assuming that what we're supposed to do is actually draw the one that we are not discarding. So let's go ahead and shuffle these up. And we're going to choose this one. So these 2 are getting discarded. This one, we're going to see what happens. You're about to leave when you hear a deafening crack. Everyone around freezes, unsure of what to do. A moment later, a barely visible, uneven line appears on the wall of the dam. "This doesn't look good. Get to the gong and sound the alarm," whispers the oldest of the gathered men to a small girl. The line turns into a widening crack. "Oh no! Run, everyone!" shouts the man. Suddenly, everyone is trying to get out of here. Some people head for their rides, others run toward the road, switchbacking up the rest to the crest of the canyon. The sound of the gong chases hundreds of panicked people out of the holes in the dam. Red Jack takes you into his machine, and you move through the horde of people. Red Jack takes you into his machine, and you move through the horde of people running. The cracks are getting wider very quickly, and huge chunks of the concrete structure start falling down. Finally, the whole central section of the dam collapses under the tons of water pooled on the other side. Those inhabitants who have chosen to stay at the bottom stand no chance. Your vehicle is one of the last to avoid their unfortunate fate. You stop and silently watch as the enormous structure sinks in the torrent. Holy crap. Okay, so the dam just collapsed, and we're going to gain 1 experience point each, which I guess is a good thing. And then we get to move to any location. Move the hunter's marker to any location. All right, well, while I was figuring out where I want to move to, I went ahead and took a look at the movement rules and realized that there's no question about which type of card we draw. It's actually really well outlined in the rules. So basically, when we're at a site card, we can only move to other site cards within that location or to the location card that site card is part of. So before we moved to the dam, we actually would have had to move to New Jensen, which is the location card that the parking lot is part of, and then we could move from New Jensen to the dam. So we did that correctly. We did move from one location card to another, so we rolled our event. But before we had actually made that move, we had to move from the parking lot to New Jensen, which requires a city roll. So let's see if we have a city event. Okay, no city event, so that means we don't have to deal with that. We can just keep moving forward. Sorry about that, but that clears everything up. So the end of that card, number 70, actually gives us an opportunity to move, and I've decided to move from the dam over to El Infierno because we have some business that we need to take care of here as well. So that is a move from one location card to another location card. So we are going to roll to see if we have an event, and El Infierno is in the 2 skull zone. So we're going to roll to see if we have a 2 skull road event card. Okay, so let's see what happens. All right, so we rolled a shield, which does mean we're going to have a road event. So we're going to go ahead and draw the top card off of this stack of road events, and let's see what happens. Mine. One of you abruptly stops. A barely audible click under their foot sounds very suspiciously, while the glint of metal on the ground makes your friend freeze. Could this be a forgotten mine? Okay, that does not sound good. The rest of you clean dirt off the finding. It's a mine, all right. Your companion has stepped on it carelessly, but it hasn't exploded yet. Choose one character to be the unlucky traveler. And then we choose A. We can either try to replace our friend's foot with a big stone by moving it slowly aside from the pressure plate, or we can attempt to defuse the mine with the tools we have. It won't be an easy task, but at least less risky. The tools we have. I'm not sure we really have any tools for disarming a mine, but maybe I'm thinking a little too specifically. I don't know if it's going to be like, if you have this, then you succeed, otherwise you fail. It might just be a skill roll. Let me take a look at my characters and see what I want to do here. All right, well, unfortunately, I did not really think about the fact that I was going out on a crazy adventure and did not heal before we left. So my soldier's still at 2 hit points and my recon's only at 1. So we're going to go ahead and have the soldier be the one that carelessly stepped on the mine, and we're going to ask the recon to go ahead and try to disarm it. So I'm going to choose option B, and let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and cover up option A just to see what happens. The character who is most expert at mechanics and explosives works ceaselessly for over an hour. Finally, they conclude that the mine should pose no threat now. Just in case, the rest of you walks away a safe distance to hide while your unlucky friend gets a steel plate for additional protection when jumping away. They slide their leg, and the mine jumps around 3 feet up and explodes. Fortunately, most of the blast is absorbed by the steel plate. The character loses 1 hit point. So now my soldier's down to 1 and my recon's down to 1, and I need to make sure that I heal before I get in another fight. That is not good. These level 2 road events, I'm not pleased with our first road event, especially compared to how good those city events were going. So that was definitely pretty dangerous, and let's try to heal up before we do anything more crazy. Now the other thing is we did move, which I would assume still moves the day tracker up 1, which means this day token we've met up with now. It was on day 7, which is now the day that we're at, and we'll be able to remove this, which means we can go boxing at under the side for fight number 2, which I believe was going to be a group fight. That also means we need to spend 1 food each. Now my recon does have 1 food, so she's able to eat that, but our soldier does not have any food, and he is at 1 hit point. When you don't eat, you take 1 hit point of damage, so our soldier falls unconscious. Now it's even more important that I figure out how to get some healing going before I do anything else too crazy. Luckily, in El Infierno there is a doctor, which allows us to pay to heal wounds, so I'm definitely thinking we're going to be visiting him very soon. But before we can do that, we have moved to a location with a card that is on top, which means we have to encounter it. So let's go ahead and see what card 522 is all about. Pull. Walking through the crowd, you see a tall, thin man. The right side of his face bears an ugly burn scar. The stranger keeps looking intensely at passers-by. At some point, he notices you, eyes you up, and approaches your group after being seemingly satisfied with what he sees. "Hey, you!" He comes even closer. "You must be new in town, right? I'd know you otherwise. Maybe you're looking for work, huh? You want to make a quick buck? Real nice and easy, no risk at all." A broad smile splits his face. So we can either say, "Keep talking. Thanks for the offer, we already work for the prefect," or we pass the man without a single word of reply. Let's see. This guy's obviously trying to scam me. He is looking for an easy mark. He doesn't recognize us, and I'm not falling for it. To be honest, I'm just gonna head past. I'm not gonna name drop the prefect. I've learned my lesson. I will never mention the prefect again. That may come back to bite me, but for right now, honestly, I'm thinking I'm just gonna walk on by. So that's card 523, option C. It does look like card 523 has a bit of a misprint here. This is it says option B, but it's definitely option C because the previous one was also option B. He says, "I'm talking to you, punks. You'll soon regret turning your backs on me." Pole spits and quickly disappears into the crowd. Something tells you that you shouldn't disdain such people. So we have to shuffle card 524 into the city event deck. So now he's going to come back and get us later. That's cool. I love that a decision actually is going to potentially come back later and something might happen. So we'll go ahead and add that to the city event card deck. All right, now there's definitely some other stuff that we need to do here in El Infierno while we're here. Specifically, I definitely want to go to the sermon. There's some missions that I want to take a look at and see if any of those we should take advantage of. But I definitely need to go to the doctor first more than anything else. So we're going to go ahead and move from El Infierno's location card to the doctor card, the doctor site card in El Infierno, which is going to result in a event roll. I'm just going to roll up here. We'll see if we get a shield. If we do, I'll draw a card. No shield, so no need to draw a card at this time. So the doctor is a very cool location here in that it gives us access to lots of ways to heal ourselves. We can purchase, med kits, first aid kits, antidotes. We can also, for the first time, purchase implants, which are special gear that kind of slide under your character card that give you specific bonuses, and they can't be swapped between characters. They have to be installed. So there's a couple different ways you can get those. For example, here, you can buy the blueprints, and then your lab allows you to install a lot of these. So for example, I could buy the BioBlades blueprint for 2, and then be able to install that at my lab if I had one, which I do not. And then also it says here you can pay to actually have implants added or removed, so I could buy BioBlades for 10 and then install them for 2. Now that's definitely more money than I have right now, but these are definitely things I'm interested in. So we'll be keeping this in mind as we continue adventuring. The main thing I'm here for right now though is healing. This is heal 3 wounds and it costs 2 fuel cells. So we're going to go ahead and pay 8 fuel cells total to get everybody healed back up completely to full. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and then I'm going to feel a lot better about exploring the rest of El Infierno and seeing what kind of craziness is going on there. These 8 fuel cells represent 8 of the 9 fuel cells my entire team has to their name, and I'm feeling a little concerned because we're basically out of food, we're pretty much out of money, and things are not looking good for our hunters right now. But at least we're fully healed, so I'm going to go ahead and discard these 8. I'm going to move our health trackers all the way up to 6 for both characters, and then we'll get to exploring El Infierno. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move from the doctor to the tech square. And we're moving from a site to a site, so we need to roll our event die and see if we have an event. And we do, we have a city event, so I'll go ahead and draw one of those right now. So let's just take a look. Oh boy, I got a cat that's howling. Booth. A crowd of people has gathered around one of the booths in the town square. Intrigued, you approach the place, curious about the offer. A thin man wearing a patchwork costume is standing on a low dais. Only here, exotic leeches to cure any illness and clean any wound. Behind the man there's a big tent. You see a long queue of eager buyers in front of it. You take the opportunity to wait in the queue. The fee is 1 box for every willing character, or we walk away. No sense in paying some charlatans. Okay, and this symbol right here is module. So basically any of those little blue tokens you could discard and be able to participate. Now, we're fully healed because of course we are, and I'm not really super excited about some exotic leeches. This guy sounds like a snake oil salesman to me. So considering the fact that we're fully healed and don't need it, I'm going to go ahead and just walk away. So that's option B. You pass the tent feeling that the leech treatment might have actually worked. The character with the least health loses 1 morale token. Okay, well, they both have the same, so I think we'll just, I'm guessing in that case we'll just decide, and we'll go ahead and decide that the soldier will lose 1 morale token, which is kind of a bummer. Okay, but now we're at the tech square, and we can finally go check out this sermon that was one of the other leads that we were given right at the beginning of the game. So let's go ahead and check this out. Speech. Speeches at the tech square, unlike the ones at the main square in New Jensen, are much more low-key. You secure good seats on the roof of a police car right next to a priest preparing to give his sermon. The preacher doesn't wear any special clothes. The only attribute distinguishing him from his followers is a sign of white hands on his hood. The priest climbs on an old ammo crate and starts his speech. Thank you all for coming to our service. I see so many around. Each and every one of you, the ill, the crippled, the misunderstood, you shall all be saved. Frozen God is coming to freeze the hearts of your persecutors. Those who force you into obedience and those who take everything you have, down to the last grain of rice, all of them shall answer before our God. Those who are rich shall be forced to kneel, while those who suffer shall be elevated. Fear not the cold, the white gust will bring you salvation. Okay, and then we move to 5B. For a couple of minutes, the priest continues along this line, and then his helpers enter the square, hauling crates of food. A moment later, it's being handed out to the poor. The maddening crowd rushes forward like a pack of rabid dogs fighting for the best morsels. The priest slowly retreats from the square, surrounded by his most faithful servants. Okay, so we can follow him, planning to search his home, or we can follow him and assault him and his servants in the dark alley. So we could try to follow him at his house, or we could. This is a mission, so this is actually attacking him. Now, I don't know if this is going to be an option, but the Frozen God doesn't sound so bad. I mean, he's taking care of the poor. He's taking it out on the rich. Honestly, it's not like we're super wealthy. I mean, we have 1 fuel cell. I'm not sure that I want to go out of my way to just get in a fight with this dude just yet, but let's go ahead and follow him and see if we learn anything from that. So that's going to be card 23. Search. A few minutes later, the priest reaches his home. You hide in an alley waiting for the whole house to fall asleep. You are ready to strike at the darkest hour of the night. You silently open the front door and slowly look around the place. All of the priest's servants sleep in the common room downstairs, while the priest himself is in the bedroom facing the backyard. The whole house is filled with a strange smell, reminding you of chemistry lessons from your childhood. You carefully open all the drawers, look through boxes, and check dark corners. You finally manage to find 3 intriguing items. Inside the priest's drawer, you find a page with a short, encrypted message, pendant with 2 folded white hands, and an extract of frozen God's life. You silently sneak out of the house, bothered by no one. Despite many attempts, you are unable to decipher the mysterious writing. You must look for an expert's help. Luckily, there's this guy you know, a mathematician, who used to work in intelligence before the impact. His job was creating ciphers. Okay, well that sounds pretty cool. So we got some neat equipment here. We're not actually gaining anything, it looks like, but the game now knows that we have those things. So we're going to set up location 424 with event card 24 face down on top of it. We're also going to gain card 96 and story event token 6. So card 96 is some more kind of sermon language of the frozen god, and this isn't actually what the priest said in the card text. So we'll go ahead and read it real quick here. On the 3rd day, our Lord looked over the world with his punishing gaze and wept. What have you done with the earth I gave you? Why have you defiled it so greatly? On the 4th day, our Lord took a deep breath and blew away the dust that laid everywhere. Forgotten plants reached with their greedy leaves to the first rays of the rising sun. On the 8th day, the Lord pondered on everything he had done and saw that it was good. On the 9th day, the Lord welcomed his children. So we have that now. There's some more information. I'm assuming all these are clues for things that are been going on later on in the adventure. And then also that card said that we needed to get story token 6. Now, there is errata for the game, and in the errata there actually isn't a story token 6 in the game box, but you need a story token 6 because it will be referenced by the game. It says to replace it with any other token. I went ahead and made my own story token 6 just out of a piece of paper. We'll see if it survives. And I didn't have a red marker like the other story tokens, but it's orange, which is close. And I'm going to keep this on my base just so I remember that I have this story token 6. So we'll add that to our base, and then we can continue on. Now then, the other main thing that we can do here in El Infierno is at the tech square we can take a look at some of the missions that we have available to us. We have missions such as materials here, which requires a bunch of components. Irrigation, looks like everybody's going to get some money. Contest, we can participate in. There's some nocturnal predators, and we can earn some money and some junk components. And then a delivery, which will allow us to also earn some money, but this one's difficulty 2. The rest of these, it look like, are all difficulty 1. So I'm going to take a look at these, and I'm probably going to pick one for us to go do because we don't really have too much else that's pulling our attention. There is that old Steelworks card there with event card 29 that we need to do before day 25, but we're only on day 7. We still have lots of time, and I'm feeling like let's maybe do a mission, try to earn a little cash, because we're out of money, we're out of food, and we got to figure that out. So I'm going to take a look at these, and we'll see which one we can do. So we're out of money, we're out of food, and we're stuck in El Infierno. I mean, we're not stuck here, we can leave, but that's where we're at currently, and you can't buy food here. So what I'm thinking is, after looking through stuff, I'm going to go ahead and try this mission here, which is guaranteed to give us at least $3 or 3 fuel cells per person, with the potential of earning more depending on how many days we spend here. I'm just going to spend 1 day, which basically just gives me the 3, plus I have a chance to get 1 more for every 6 rolled on a d6. And that d6 roll is per character. So we're going to go ahead and just do that. And hopefully, well, I mean, it'd be nice if we found 1 extra one. So the soldier is going to go ahead and do that. He gets 1 plus just the 1, and then the recon gets 1 plus just the 1. So they each find 1. We do spend a day, which means we move our day tracker up by 1, which puts us on day 8. And both of our characters consume food, which we have none of, so they each lose 1 hit point, dropping them back down to 5 each. But we each gain 3 fuel cells, so we have a little money. Now then, we have a little bit of cash, but we don't have any food, and the only place to buy food is in New Jensen, so I'm going to actually make the trek back to New Jensen. So first we have to move from the tech square to site card to the El Infierno location card, and we will roll to see if we have an event, which we do. So we'll draw a city event card. Beggar. You notice a stranger kneeling in a side alley next to a wall. She's holding a bundle in her hands. Please, mister, help me. I'm a single mother. Just look at my child. What a poor, scrawny little fellow he is. No one cares to help, the woman wails and wipes away tears. You approach the beggar and give her a can of synthetic beef, discarding one food. Or we pay her no attention and give her a wide berth when we pass her. Well, we don't have any food. I really want to help her, but I don't have any food because I'm out of food, because I did not plan. This is my fault and my fault alone. But you know what? Now there are other people who are suffering because of my bad planning. So let's flip it over and check out option B. The beggar makes a rude gesture to you and disappears in the nearest alley. Okay, well, we weren't able to help her. I don't feel great about that, but I'm not sure what else to do. Now we're going to travel from El Infierno to New Jensen. Now, New Jensen is a one skull location, and we're going to go ahead and roll and see if we have a road event card on the way. And we do not. Well, that's probably good, because frankly, I'm not sure I can handle too much more excitement right now. So now that we're in New Jensen, I'm going to go ahead and move to the under the side, which is a location to site roll, which means we need to roll, see if we have a city event, which we do not. And now we're going to do some stuff. So we do have access to the second boxing match, which I think I will go ahead and do. But first, I'm going to basically spend all of my money on more food. So I have 6 fuel cells total, 3 for each character. Plus I have actually a 7th fuel cell on the soldier. He has 4. And I'm going to buy 3 food each. Honestly, I'm just going to spend all of my money, and except for 1, I'm going to buy 3 food each. So I'll go ahead and add 3 food to each character's sheet. And now we are set for a little bit more adventuring. I probably should have tried to figure out how to do that beforehand, but that's what you get for not planning very well and just getting excited about heading to the dam. Lastly, let's check out what's going on here with the boxing match. All right, it's time for our second fight. It says here, this time your fight is scheduled to start the local boxing night, as Grant calls this brawl. You face 2 darkly tanned Southerners. The first one, a skinny guy resembling a lizard, stares at you menacingly with his only eye. The second one is much bigger, but you're not intimidated by the tons of fat on his body. It seems you have to win a couple of lousy fights before you can face real pros. So now we're fighting in pair combat. So in pair combat, you have the strength of 2 fighters and make 2 D3 rolls. So each character makes a roll of D3 plus their strength, and then our opponents have a total sum of +2 to their rolls. So I'm interpreting that as then we're going to roll 2 dice, our opponents are going to roll 2 dice, and they're going to add 2 to theirs, and we're going to add our strength total. Now, our soldier has a strength of 2, and our recon has a strength of 1. So we're going to be adding +3 to our roll. So we still have a pretty good chance, but let's go ahead and roll it up and see what happens. So again, we have +3, they have +2, and these are D3 rolls. Okay, so we've got, this is not a great first start, so they got a 6, 7, 8 is their total. And we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we lost our first match. And if it works just like the last one, which it does, then it's the first 2 victories wins. So we're already on the way out, but that was a pretty good roll for our opponents, so let's see how this goes. I know we can do this. All right, that's looking a little better. So we got a 3 and a 1, and they got a 2 and a 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. We've got 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So we win the second match, and now it's going to be all down to this final roll. So let's see what happens. Okay, this is looking a little grim, but let's count it all out. Okay, so we've got a 2 and a 3 here, so that's a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for our opponents. And we got a 3 and a 2, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for us. And we barely scrape by with a win, even though we call these guys a lousy match. It says here, if we win this fight, we look at card 301. So let's take a look at that and see what we've won.
Well done, boys. It looks like you're growing into real champions under my wings. Today you may drink as much as you want. It's all on me,
Grant shouts excitedly.
My brother-in-law Helmut will give you your reward. As for us, we can get back to business. Interested in another fight? I know one guy, a little strange to be frank. His head is all white. He may seem off, but he's able to knock his opponent out with one blow. I could set up a match in 3 days here in my joint. If you win, I just might spare some coin, and we'll go together to El Infierno. There you can challenge the best fighters. My pal will prepare everything for our visit. Okay, so this is clearly like an extensive side quest here as we kind of master this Colosseum. What it says here, under this location, we're going to place card 302 with B. B is on the day's track for 3 days from now, and we gain 2 ammo and 1 optics each. So that's pretty cool. Not money, but you know what? This is still going to be good, and we might even be able to sell some of these components if we absolutely have to. But what I'm really interested in is starting to figure out how we can get enough stuff to start building some armor, because we haven't even been to our base yet since we started our campaign. And frankly, I really want to start getting some crafting going. But this was a good step, and hopefully a step in the right direction for us. So looking at our options, I think what's going to be best for us is if we go ahead and move to the main square here, which will result in us needing to do an event roll. No event. And then we're going to actually take on this vehicle breakdown quest, which says, volunteers for a car fix wanted. The car has been left near R58 to the north of the town. Tools and a power module are required. Once fixed, bring the car immediately to New Jensen. I offer some stimulants, a dozen cans of food, and an old transceiver as a reward. So this is awesome because it's going to get us food, some junk, and a stimulant for each character, which is awesome. And all we need is 1 electronics. Now, we don't have any electronics yet, but at the main square, we can actually purchase some. You can see here, electronics, you can buy not electronics, batteries. We need 1 battery. So batteries cost 4. Now, we don't have batteries, but I do have lots of firearms from winning that fight just now. And firearms will sell here for 2 each. So I'm just going to go ahead and sell 1 firearm from each of my characters in order to get a single battery. And now that I have a battery, I feel confident that I can take on this mission, which says its rewards are going to be, like I said, 3 food per character, 2 junk, and any stimulant. So in order to actually do this mission, though, I have to accept this by placing location 414 and card 505, and that's going to be the actual mission itself. So this is kind of like, you're tearing this piece of paper off of the mission board. It kind of lets you know what you're going to need and kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to earn. But we have to actually go do this mission by setting up 414 and face down 505. So let's go ahead and get those on the board. So our scope of the different areas that we can move to in this game continues to grow as we add the endangered plantation to our sort of world map here with card 505 under it. Now, I'm definitely wanting to go after that mission. I say we go get it done, we get the food and the money rewards and whatever else, and maybe we can start thinking about building up our base a little bit. So first we need to move from the site card here to the location card for New Jensen, and then we're going to roll to see if we have a city event as we make that travel. And we do, so let's go ahead and draw a city card. Fortune Teller. You notice a wooden shack leaning against a nearby wall. Someone spray painted on it a phrase in crooked letters. Esmeralda, your future will hold no secrets. Intrigued, you enter the shack. Welcome, travelers! A hoarse voice of an elderly woman comes from the corner of the room. You look around. It seems someone tried to make the interior look mysterious, but lacked the talent for it. Plastic skeletons and a stuffed wild dog with scars on its back are gazing at you from the walls. The owner is sitting in a high armchair and smoking some strange-smelling substance. Do you wish to know your future? Let's see. Who wouldn't like to know the future? We can pay 1 sal to learn. We can say no thanks, you look like a fraud. Mandatory if you have Pole's friend. We have to do option C. Hold on, Pole's friend. That's the guy that we slided. Oh no. Oh gosh, I'm just making lots of bad decisions here. Well, anyway, I can't do. It says mandatory if you have Pole's friend, so I assume I can't just choose to do that. So I'm gonna go. Let's go for it. You know what? I've got $1 to my name. Let's go ahead and spend, or 1 fuel cell. Let's go ahead and spend that, because why wouldn't I? Yeah, the soldier seems like the kind of guy who would throw his last buck away at a Hail Mary, talking to a fortune teller. So let's see what happens. Then let the bravest of you come to me. Now, give me your hand. Very well. What do we have here? There's a long road ahead of you, cold and death at its end. But who shall die? You? Someone else? I see piles of dead, seas of blood. Beware of long corridors. The woman falls down on her back and starts to mumble. You won't learn anything more from her. All right, and then next we're going to move from New Jensen to the Endangered Plantation. So we'll go ahead and move there. Now that is a location to location move, which means we need to roll to see if we have a road event. And we do. Fog. It's been getting thicker for the last couple of hours. No way to navigate as you can't see a thing to guide you. Your dulled senses cannot help you either. You don't know whether you're still going the right direction. Suddenly, from this pervasive silence comes a delicate, muffled sound resembling a clinking of metal against metal. Okay, we can move directly away from the sound. Better to risk getting lost than facing a potential enemy in such bad visibility, or we can try to go towards the sound, realizing that when you see the potential danger, it'll probably be too late to escape. Okay, I'm thinking that this is it might be an enemy, but maybe it's something else. Like maybe it could be a treasure box that's full of treasure, and the lid is just gently clinking down onto the box itself, and we just need to go there and get all that loot. So we're gonna head towards the sound. Plus, I kind of want to get I'm kind of antsy to get in a scuffle. So let's go after it and see what happens. You're trudging through the clouds of fog, barely seeing one another. The sound quietens a little, only to become clearer a moment later. Finally, you see a kneeling human shape. You make a few more steps toward it. Hello, my daughters. Where have you been all this time? I've been looking for you for so long. Okay. So we can either say, can we help you? You've mistaken us for someone else, or we need to show some pity. The woman has clearly gone mad out of grief. She'll starve to death in the wasteland. Some wild beast doesn't find her first. Yet you won't bring her to any town. One of you draws a gun and shoots. Yeah, I'm not going to kill this person. We'll see if we can help. This is insane. I'm not going to do that. I'm sure I'm going to regret it, but I'm going to see if we can help. So that's event card 590, option A. My beloved daughters, what are you saying? How could we not know each other? I could recognize your voices even when asleep. But lo, I won't keep you here. I know you must go. Just bring me some fresh milk from Uncle Nick, just like you do every Tuesday. Here's a little something for you. You need to buy a bus ticket after all, don't you? The woman hands you a fistful of coins from before the impact. You can't learn anything more from the woman. She keeps babbling about her daughters, rings the bell, and doesn't care about your answers. Finally, after the fog dissipates a little, you can continue your journey. So we get 1 junk, and a random character loses 1 morale. I'll use those turn tracker tokens to see which one loses a morale. And it's going to be the recon is going to lose 1 morale. So we'll go ahead and do that. But we also gain 1 junk. And we need to move the day tracker forward. So now we are on day 9. And we need to spend 1 food each. All of that taken care of, we can finally encounter what's going on here at the Endangered Plantation. You're traveling along Route R58 equipped with the gear necessary to repair the car. When you reach the area mentioned by the paymaster, you move to the roadside. You start to walk stealthily along bushes growing close to the road and keep approaching your destination step by step. You can hear a loud squeal from afar. You peek over the last rock between you and the car. The wreck is right there, surrounded by a pack of giant rats. They must have smelled something edible inside. They keep jumping around and trying to chew their way through a thick tarpaulin or through their fellow rats. Many are hanging from protruding strips and ropes. Okay, so we can either cock our guns, move closer, ready to repel the aggressive creature's attack, or we can retreat half a mile and lie hidden till the next day. Maybe the pack will finally give up and leave the area. Let's go ahead. Like I said, I'm kind of itching for a fight. So we're going to go ahead and engage these rats. So you can see here, this says we're supposed to go resolve mission number 2 from the mission book. And yeah, I'm excited to fight these rats and defend this car and hopefully actually complete a good quest as part of our adventures here in the Hunters. But I do think that's going to be a good place to stop for this video. We've done quite a bit of adventuring. I made a few goofs in terms of
figuring out, you know, if we had food and whether or not we were healed before venturing out into the wasteland. I've learned a valuable lesson. We did some boxing, we followed up on quite a few things, and now we're getting ready to go fight some rats to defend this car and complete our first real side mission with a real combat. So I hope you're enjoying this video series. I will be back to do the combat with the rats in our next video. And since I wasn't able to do a video last week, I'm probably going to go ahead and do that and post that maybe mid this week. Normally my release schedule is going to be every Sunday, but last week I missed one. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you're really enjoying the series. If you're new to the channel, please give me a like. I'm really excited about being engaged with you guys, so leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you about the video series or about the game, or if you have any ideas about things we should be doing or trying as we continue our adventures. And once again, do keep an eye out for that Kickstarter that's going to be coming on the 27th of April. It's going to be an expansion for the Hunters, both a small and a large one. One of them is going to be a whole new adventure that's going to replace the existing adventure, and the other one will work kind of like New Huntsman, New Huntsville, which we haven't really encountered too much of yet, but adds a bunch of extra events and some new locations to explore. Plus, most importantly, for those of you that are watching that haven't seen or don't have the game yet, there is going to be a reprint where you can actually get a copy. So definitely check that out. And otherwise, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Hit subscribe if you want to get notifications when these videos go live. And otherwise, as per the usual, my friends, stay safe in the dungeon.